time on the show. I'm sorry we're starting a little bit late. We're having some challenges right about now. So we will just try to get our acts together and we'll start. So we'll just try to get our acts together and we'll start. It's going to be a very short one today. I will just see how we can pull this up across all the links so that people can be part of them. I'd like to thank all of you for your time and constantly joining us on the show. God bless you all. Thank you so much. We really appreciate each and every one of you, and it's more than a joy having a lot of you join us as always for the show. Today we're going to be talking about something very important. It's going to be called Vestiges of a Failing Nation. And truth has to be told that when a nation starts to fail, you start to see all sorts of signs that will point you in the direction of a failing nation. And like I said last week, we're still on with our help for a lot of people out there, people that want to do business. We will still give a chance probably today within the show to be able to take their call so that they can pitch their businesses, because we really want to get a lot of people started as regards business. Also, we're going to help people that need, drugs, pharmaceuticals at subsidized rates. Just go and check the link we had posted last week so that you can get 5% discounts on your drugs. These are the things we're doing in partnership with the Oseni Center. So like I said, today is going to be titled Vestiges of a Failing Nation. Truth has to be said that when a nation starts to fail, you start to see all sorts of signs that point in direction of a massive amount of failure. And this is instructive. The first vestige of a failing nation, you see the lack of regard for the citizenry by the leadership. The lack of regard for the citizenry by the leadership. It has to be said, every nation needs a strong leadership and a strong citizenry. Truth has to be said, because the citizenry adds to the conversation and ensure that our country is working. But one of the vestiges of a failing nation is when you see that the citizenry has been disregarded so much and the leadership does not even care about the citizenry, and the citizenry does not even know their rights. Then you start to feel a sense of failure, because what the citizenry is supposed to do is supposed to bring forward a level of accountability. But if that accountability is not there, then the leadership will take the citizenry for a ride. And that happens where the citizenry that ought to bring accountability also have interests, and because of their own selfish interests, then nothing is done as regards public discourse. So when you look at it critically, it has to be said, one of the vestiges of a failing nation is a citizen that doesn't know his right and a complete disregard of the leadership. When the leadership does things without even caring or caring for the backlash by the citizenry, and also the citizenry that is supposed to hold the leaders accountable also just accept everything because one of their family members gets a government position or the other. So there is a lack of accountability, there's a lack of the capacity to be able to question, and there's a lack of the capacity to be able to inquire on what is going wrong. And that's a big dilemma that speaks to what we have in Nigeria today. A lot of citizens don't understand their rights. They can't demand for it, and nothing works. The nation has now become a cesspit or a cesspool for a lot of corruption. The citizenry doesn't even care and know that the national wealth of our country is supposed to be their wealth. So when their senators spend billions in consistency projects, they can't even hold them accountable. They don't ask questions. And when you can't ask questions, you can't get anything right. So that's one of the vestiges of a failing nation, where people start to see tribe and religion more important than competence. That's the kind of citizenry you get. Where people start to look and say, oh, what is in it for me? I beg, make I chop my own. The collective good doesn't matter to me. And that's the kind of problem you start to get. And when you start to get that problem, it is always difficult to be able to get out of it. And that problem definitely will lead to other problems. Another problem, it will be abuse of morals that will spring up. Lack of morals, lack of understanding, lack of respect for rule of law and order. The youth of the country will now start taking to vices. Look at Nigeria today. A lot of our young people are taking to all sorts of vices. Some women want to be baby mama, they want to be slave mama, they want to be slave queens. This is not to say there are a lot of other responsible women out there, and we give kudos to them. But even the idea, the understanding of what togetherness and marriage should be has long changed. There's a societal delusion going on, and you don't see a lot of companionship. You see a lot of narcissism in our society. A lot of the young boys and girls have taken to drugs, ice and Colorado, destroying our society. The other day somebody was speaking and said after he started taking ice, his life got so bad, and there was a day that he walked from Awoyaya to Oriental Hotel. So we have a society that is constantly on its knees as we speak. And when you have a society on its knees, that society will not move, will not break even. And it's just a matter of time. Things will start to fall apart. Consistently. Another important trait of a nation that is already on its knees is a nation that doesn't have accountability for its finances. No matter how much that nation makes money, there will be no accountability for its finances. The leader will squander the money of the nation. Yorubas have a saying that what it means is a child that we give birth to and we don't raise is the one that's going to squander our resource. So are you surprised today that there's a squandering of our resource today? It's not surprising to me. Because when you have a country that is already feeling all ramifications, then there's not going to be accountability for the resource. The resource that is supposed to be for the benefit of all will no longer be for the benefit of all. Few people will think that it's best for them to just hijack the resource, and once they hijack the resource, that's the end. So the first thing the elite will do is resource theft. You cannot have respect for the citizenry and people and steal their resource. The first thing that will happen will be resource theft. Truth has to be said, once you have resource theft, then you can't have societal accountability. There's going to be a blame game on one another. People are going to keep going around in circles, but people are never going to be able to figure out what the problem is. So, these are the vestiges of a nation that is on its feet. Another important trait is that non-state actors will not be the purveyors of violence. There will be insecurity. There will be a collapse of leadership. I mean, look at the bad, dastardly killing of our military officers. I pay tribute to the military today. But there will be a bad reaction. And that's what happens. Society starts to slip into an abyss. Sorry, we've not been able to connect to VOP today, but they are going to take from this feed probably as soon as we join. So society is going to be at an abyss where people are going to feel very downcast. And there's going to be a massive societal malaise. All sorts of heinous crimes will continue. And the authorities will not be able to nip them in the bud because most of the time there's a lot of complicity. And when there's a lot of complicity, there's a lot of problem. So there is no how that if you have all of these traits in a society, there is no how you will not have problems. Society starts to get relegated. The things that were never happening before starts to happen. Hunger, suffering becomes the order of the day. And all of these things is because the leadership now doesn't care for the people any longer. It's become a case that when you hear over 30 people are dead somewhere, nobody cares. Everybody moves on like nothing happened. The loss of life does not mean anything any longer. So it's because of the order of the day. And what happens? Then poverty starts to increase. Also, social inequality starts to increase. Social inequality starts to increase because society is not equal and some people start to have more than the others. And most of the people that even have, it's not that they work hard for it or they set up industries, but they steal and they kill to get it. So the sad reality of our country today is that if you can steal and kill, you're the chief of the manor. But life is deeper than that. And these are the societal malaise we start to see. And when you see all these things, it creates a lot of problems. Because leaders that cannot work for the development of their people cannot give what they don't have. They become all about themselves. It's not about the people any longer. And when they become all about themselves, corruption starts to hold sway. And that's reflective in our society. The life of human beings does not matter in a society that starts to fail. Human beings just become numbers. Their killings is not about the hopes and aspirations, but it's just about the ineffectiveness of our system. So How do we now start to change a failing society? Number one, we need to understand that society is failing. You see, the truth about it is that most societies that will not change for the better, their leaders will never still understand that society is failing. Their leaders will defend it till the end and say, oh, things are getting better. So be careful. When you start to see leaders that can't accept that they are failing in society, then you know that's the biggest problem. Because denial does not make anybody achieve anything. Denial makes the matters worse off. So be wary of leaders that try to deny what is happening. At first, you must accept. Secondly, you must check yourself. Because everything comes around the leader. So if a leader himself has corruption in his DNA, there's no how you can tell others not to be corrupt. A thief cannot tell other thieves not to steal. So you must check yourself. And after you check yourself, you must now instruct people around you to do what is right and demand accountability, which if they do not, you have to stamp your foot on the ground. Then constantly you must work with tools for societal re-engineering, which has to do with media and all of that, and also by actions. It is the action of a leader that shows that he's committed towards redeeming a nation. As I say, that action speaks louder than words. Rufai said, what you do speaks so loud I can't hear what you say. Question is, what is your right ideology to be able to make lives better? Do you even have action towards it? Are you ready to be able to make it work for people? Or you're just concerned about yourself? I mean, you can't be in the middle of suffering and you are still seeing leaders amassing wealth. You can't tell people to tighten their belt and they are seeing their leaders buying brand new cars. Those are vestiges of a failing nation. I'm going to take calls this morning. I'm going to take 5-6 calls. 0818-099-1991. 0818-099-1991. Another thing that the leader must do is that he must unite his nation across ethnic or tribal lines. Any leader that divides does not want to build the nation. And when you don't want to build your nation, you destroy your nation. So you can call us up 0818-099-1991. You can also call that number on WhatsApp. So truth has to be said. If in all of this you still have leaders that are divided people, then it's sad. Because what should be the order of the day should be unity. How can you then unite a group of people? Because that's the essence of leadership. Uniting people and ensuring that there's accountability when we do things. Also, a leader now, at a time like you have the failing nation, must be able to give people a rallying point for a vision which they expect. You must be able to tell the people where you are going, not just by doing trial by error. Because if people cannot trust you, then they cannot trust what you believe in, and you cannot take them to that promised land. The number, like I said once again, is 0818-099-1991. 0818-099-1991. And part of the vision of giving people is also you standing in the line of accountability and saying, this will not happen under my watch. Because if you are not ready to say that, if you are doing party with everybody, then nothing will happen. A great leader at a time of crisis must learn to disappoint people that want to bring his nation down. ready. I want to bring you down, then you are not ready to grow.
on TV, on radio. What do we need to do now? What do we need to focus on?
At first, I think the people need to believe in Nigeria again.
Number one.
Too many people and too many Nigerians don't believe in Nigeria, and they have a
Look at
reason.
that! Look at that! Look at that!
And I will not be here. I will not be here to say.
Thank you for watching part 1 of this conversation. In case you are yet to watch it, I'll link it right here for you. Liking this video looks like a very simple thing, but it helps other people to find it. And subscribing to this channel means a lot. So do it. Do it now. Don't forget what we talk about here: fellowships, scholarships, jackpatships, and experiences that help you discover Africa abroad. Let's get to part 2.
I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town.
Because they have their reasons. And I can't win the argument with them. Like they say, Nigeria.
We're going to hear from her.
But the truth has to be said. That's the only country we've got.
That's it. For now, at least.
Can we zero down on the fact that that's the only country we've got? How we are going to do it, if you ask me, I don't know.
You don't have all the answers.
I don't have all the answers. Could it even be democracy that will take us to the promised land? It's up in the air. But we must never stop believing in Nigeria. Secondly, we must go out there. We must vote. We must keep an open mind. These things I'm asking are very difficult things.
Yeah.
Because you see, there's a Yoruba word called overcap. What it means is that you become too sensitive. You become too uppity. You become too, aware that the next person is trying to cheat me.
So you're defensive.
Nigerians are like that. By default, we're defensive. Nigerians, they give one too many people second chances and they fail them. Nigerians have heard too many politicians say, Peking way fail, now they repeat. Give you another 10. After I feed you the first 10. And they feel hurt and hard done by.
Yep.
But you see, the thing about hope, and I think I'm happy that we're in the land of Winston Churchill. Because Winston Churchill puts it succinctly. He said, moving from one failure to another without losing your sense of enthusiasm.
He didn't say from one success to the other.
No, he said from one failure to another without losing your sense of enthusiasm. And I think that's where Nigerians should get into. That we die here mentality.
Yes. This one failed, that one failed.
Like, okay, but they killed us during the NSAS. Yes, but we must not leave our country alone.
True.
Because you see, the countries you run out to, people make it work.
That's it.
The likes of Canada, a lot of Nigerians are running out today. If you didn't have the likes of Trudeau, the current president's, prime minister's father, Canada was almost at loggerheads. They had the Quebecois crisis. If you remember, they had the Front de Libération de Cuba, FAQ, sort of like insurgent group that wanted to secede out of Canada. Petrol bombs and everything, declared a state of emergency. At some point, the guy became ruthless on them. But that was what birthed the new Canada.
That everybody's running to.
Because it was now, the guy now made policies like, oh, we have to be bilingual. We have to speak both English and French. We have to incorporate. I know Nigeria has not gone to that level. We've only made Nigeria, but we've not made Nigerians. That understand the peculiarities and the differences. Because
we have made Nigeria, but we have not made Nigerians.
If we have made Nigerians, then we should start saying, one Nigeria doesn't mean you should discountenance the fact that you're Igbo, you're Ibibio, you're Rivers. It means you should respect the fact that you are different. Then you should not look forward to a national goal that ties all of you together.
Yeah, the Nigerian dream. Which we are going to talk about.
It's not a thing to look down on Hanese and Igbo or look down on Afeni Ferry as in those pan social groups. No. a representation of the hopes and aspirations of a group of people too.
And the first and the only thing you know how to do is prescribe.
Because you see, the most important thing for me is I'm Nigerian.
Yep.
But let's not also forget I'm Yoruba man. And those differences matter.
They do.
So that you understand the nuances. It's just like the case of Katsuma. If he probably recorded a video kicking a cat in Nigeria, nothing will happen.
Nothing.
But you did that in the UK, you should know that
it has consequences.
There are consequences.
Yes. Yoruba will say any sunje.
Yeah, so there are consequences.
I need to translate that. So person where they want born, chop, they want roast them. You can't rob everybody.
There are consequences, and that is also what Nigerians should understand. That we have differences, but there are consequences of us not coming out to vote. Underline the word tribes and tongues may differ. No, underline the word will differ.
Continue to differ.
In fact, not will differ. Tribes and tongues differ.
That's it.
But in brotherhood,
we stand.
We stand.
And I think it's important to quote where you took that from.
Yes.
That is from the original national anthem.
The first national anthem.
The first national anthem that was now switched to the one that we have today.
So tribes and tongues will differ.
But in brotherhood,
we should stand. So
whoever changed that started all.
So stop when you are trying to sell the Nigerian dream or the Nigerian project. Don't say one Nigeria, tribes and tongues. No, tribes and tongues will differ.
It already does.
But in brotherhood we stand.
What are you doing now to make sure that inter-party tussle and everything that led to it would not happen a second time? So those are my two questions.
Good questions. The very ones who are on Twitter, on social media, and when it's now time to come and vote, they will not vote. And those are the ones who can make the decision to say that I will vote this party for president, I will vote this party for
it's not a
governor.
party thing.
It's not a party thing, it's an individual thing.
Yeah.
So you have to bring the...
Are you a STEM professional and are looking to apply for U.S. permanent residency?
Educated voter out of sitting down in the armchair and coming out. And so what do I see? You know, there are little games that they play in elections. Within the area where educated people stay, what do? Electoral paper does not come out early. Why? Because educated people are not patient. They will come out 8 o'clock. The electoral paper is not here. By 9 o'clock, they've gone back home. Meanwhile, in the places where the uneducated voters are, they will stay there.
They'll wait
They will wait till 6 p.m.
They'll queue up.
They will stay there until the time. So they know those who are managing the politics of the day. They understand that if they want to frustrate you, all they need to do is just delay your voting. 30 minutes, you are gone.
All the people that you think would vote you, they've already left.
So you have to make up your mind that there's a consequence for going away. Stay there.
Yeah.
And that's all that.
This is the second question.
But on the first, let me just finish with the first one, because I needed to give some background. But however, if it was so, right, as you said, that it is just the thumb printing all the way across, then what you will have is that in 2015, Buhari was so popular, and it was anything but football. Then every state of the state should come out and say, listen,
true,
it didn't.
It didn't happen like that.
So understand that human beings are not as predictable as you think.
True that.
Right? They're not. So, regardless of what you would have, you would still have states that will go one way and other states that will go another way. So there is some sense in democracy. It will still work. It doesn't matter who comes out at the top. People will still connect at their state level with who is there. So state level politics will still play. Which then brings us to the question that you asked on the second question. What happened in my own state? In my state, you had a very fractious division between leaders of the party that determined that reconciliation was not going to happen. There is no house that is divided that will stand. It doesn't matter what you do. As long as that reconciliation will not happen, it wouldn't stand. And because a court case had already started all the time with these two factions, that court case went to the Supreme Court. Right. So what is different between then and now? The first aspect of it is that every court case that had led to that, after the elections, after everything was done, the Supreme Court now resolved all of those cases. So that case, from the court angle, is sorted, which means that you are not going to find yourself in that situation again where a party will be disqualified completely. So that is out of it. So my take is that we will not fall for the same thing where the party is out of
the ballot, even having done everything that needs to be done.
But reconciliation is necessary. You still need to talk to people.
Great. So I have another question, but I'll let you rest.
So I'm just really curious about where you start from crossing the line of differences.
Very, very great insights. And that's very cool. It's on the camera again. It's shocking. So the truth has to be said. I think it was the first time Nnamdi Azikiwe and Tafawa Balewa met. And I think Nnamdi Azikiwe said, "Oh, let us forget our differences." And Tafawa Balewa says, "No, let us understand our differences."
Yes, we cannot forget our differences.
And I think the fact is, we must come to acceptance that we're not all the same. Our nuances are different. We must come to acceptance that Nigeria is a different country put together. That's why you see what the British left was deliberate. They left a regional system of autonomy.
Allowing us to tweak it.
Yeah, based on the fact that they know that the South has to go its way, still in a federation. The North has its peculiarities, the East has its peculiarities, and everybody can develop at their own pace. 66 marked the watershed, 15th of January. Because what happened on the 15th of January was a culmination of what had been happening all this while. The fact that there was a coup, the fact that the North felt that there was a couple of evil people that plotted a coup against them. One of the first things people in the North started saying then was Araba, that we want to leave this union. The fact that a lot of people felt that Agui Ironsi didn't handle things properly, and it brought about a unitary government, which some people argue that was based on the Wilkins reports of 57, because you see, they are really different people. So while we had regions, the minority groups who started shouting, and they were unfairly treated. That led to a Wilkins report of 1957 on the minority groups. So take for instance in the Eastern region, an Ijeoma man felt slighted because he felt the oil was coming from my backyard, and the government of Eastern Nigeria was running the show out of Enugu. So when Isaac Adakaburu went to carry guns, it was because he felt this regional government was against me. And that's why you see this state creation. When they first created states, then everybody was happy that every one of us
do not have a voice.
But you see, we fail to realize that it's because we've not understood our peculiarities, we've not shown corruption, we've not shown the evil that we do amongst ourselves that is bringing the problem. So in building that holistic identity, the number one thing is honesty. We're not honest enough with ourselves to look ourselves in the face and tell ourselves the truth.
That's number one.
Secondly, we can't build it unless our leaders stop exploiting our differences. Because the problem is our leaders
have been exploiting our differences to their own gains.
Religious, tribal, age,
They are
online, offline.
There are over 2 million Igbos in Lagos. But somebody wants to win an election, starts to say I'm a man now.
Just to
remember what happened in 2015?
Yes.
Somebody made a comment, then the Igbo said, okay,
We'll show you.
and that election was neck and neck. So what our leaders should be saying is, we've got differences, but let's come together as one.
Yeah.
But the reverse is the case. What our leaders are always saying is, oh, let me characterize and play on the differences because of my own electoral gain. Because you see, we forget that a politician is concerned about the next election. A leader is concerned about the next generation. So what we should be having should be leaders that are concerned about the next generation that will not exploit this. But indeed, we can have a national parade. We have not found that ethos of what a Nigerian dream is.
That's
why some people will still always refer you to the words of that Nigeria is a geographical expression, which Obama was just saying to enunciate the fact that we've not found that ethos that binds us. So I would like to coin the words of Italian statesman Maximiliano Allegri that said, "We have built Italy. It is now time to build Italians." We have built Nigeria, albeit imperfect.
There's no country that's perfect.
It is time to now build Nigerians.
You don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air, like a blazing flare. Just stare, 'cause the flames will burn us up. You
I asked a question.
Yep.
I asked a question from somebody that was speaking for the Tinubu camp.
Can I ask you this? How was this trash? Bullion van was found in his home. The pictures were viral, and there's been no denial. So how are you saying that is trash? And how is it trash that we want to know how the person that will lead Nigeria made so much wealth? You know, and also the declaration of being richer than also state. So that's not trash. How did he make his money? That's all I want to know. And tell me how old he is.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's ET. So a few days ago, I hosted my friend and brother Rufai Oseni in London. We wanted to have conversations about political development and the big picture of Africa's future, you know. So we put together this little event that I want you to enjoy in a bit. We were lucky to have been joined by friends from all over the UK, and luckily we also had Tonye Cole, who is a governorship candidate in the Rivers State election, the last one and even the coming one.
You have elections. The only way you can make any kind of change in Nigeria is through the political arena.
I would want you to enjoy the conversation. I am posting it in parts because it's a 2-hour conversation. I will be too long to consume on a stretch. But do not forget what we do on this channel: fellowships, scholarships, japa-ships, and like this episode, experiences that help you discover Africa abroad.
The greatest endorsement for you will come with the manifesto you have for the Rivers people.
Yes.
Make sure you give it a thumbs up so other people can find it easily on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the other parts and every other information coming up from this channel. Without further ado, let's get to business.
I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. We're searching for the lost and found. but you don't care.
Whose profile do I do first? Please permit me to do his profile because it's only fair, because we got a master any day. All right,
so we're honored to have it, man.
Yeah, I'm very.
So a lot of people that couldn't make it, you missed a lot.
Yeah, you missed a lot.
Because I was just to have a private meeting with Tonye, but I didn't know he was going to be here. And he's going to be sharing so many inside basic identity.
Exactly.
Because he's been through the fire. He's done politics.
He's in the fire.
He's still in the fire.
All right, just a little bit of Mr. Tonye was born 11 January 1967, so he's pretty young, 55 years. Was born in Port Harcourt, is that correct? Okay, Port Harcourt, Nigeria. There's only one Port Harcourt in the world, by the way. So Tonye Patrick Cole is a co-founder and former group executive director of Sahara Group, an energy conglomerate with operations spanning the entire energy chain in Nigeria and neighboring West African countries to East Africa and even beyond. He's happily married, and he is in the race for the governorship elections in Rivers State, isn't it? And it's not for the first time, but he's still in the race. That's why I said he's actually in the fire. So you are potentially sitting with the next and incoming governor of Rivers State, God willing. Hopefully, when the people get the message of what they really need and stuff like that. So welcome, Mr. Tonye. It's a privilege to have you here. Now let's move to the man of the day. A lot of time when you're watching TV, it doesn't make sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're wishing there's one person in that room that knows and can say what makes sense.
Yeah.
And that is who Rufai was saying he represents to a lot of us. And I think it's only fair that we give him a round of applause for this. So he's in the UK with us for just a while, and I'm like, you know what? Let's this one. We have to hold you down a little bit, and let's see what we can share in terms of our experiences. Let's get the conversation started. So, Rufai, what is it that you're visiting for? I know you come a couple of times. Are you here to just drop by and leave? Are you here? What did you actually bring for us? Let's start from there.
So the truth is, I didn't bring bread, or I didn't bring anything. But the truth is, all my life has always been about conversations, and I feel we don't have enough of those conversations, and that's why I got on TV in Nigeria, because I was bored with what was going on TV, and I thank God for Arise giving me the chance to be able to air those views, because we throw the baby away with the bathwater. And when you look at our conversations, they're always skewed towards a certain class of people. Politicians. That is not only what is going on in Nigeria.
Yep.
People are suffering. People also have opportunities. Their life are becoming better. But the media don't tell enough of the narrative, because the media is either in connivance with the politicians or the politicians own the media. And that's a big problem. So there's a galloping state of identity crisis. So I took my first break after a couple of years being on the rise. And I had always been doing this, having interfaces. In 2015, we had the empowerment series. What we normally do is we'll partner with universities, but we couldn't get around that because of COVID and all of that, and schools are just resuming. The last time I was here, we had a program in Cambridge. We also had another one in Sussex, about politics and governance. But I said, how about we have this to be able to interface? So it's supposed to be sort of my rest time. But there's some things that can't make me rest.
True.
Because I see a country that has so much potential.
Yet.
And I see people in suffering and squabble. And I can't rest. I can take a plane, go to Vanuatu, enjoy the sun and enjoy the holiday. But it doesn't take the problems away. And that's why I called my friend and my very good Oga, and he decided to join us here, Tonye, to be also part of this conversation, because he has been through the eye of the fire.
So I'll come back to how long have you been doing this and why did you start? But let's get to Mr. Tonye. You're running for elections next year, right? You're not out of the race. You are in the race, in the middle of it. When did you decide that it's time to serve? When did you decide it's time to join the bad guys? Because we know that everybody who's either running, has run, is there, is bad. So when did you switch from good to bad?
Okay, so first, that's one of the challenges of politics. The fact that people think that everybody is bad. And as a result of that, good people stay out. So we need to correct that preconception. In everything in life, you have the good and you have the bad. In everything. And so you have good people in politics just as you have bad people in politics. So, however, there's nothing like a vacuum in life, and I think my brother was talking about vacuums, that if you stay away, then other people come in. So we need to get in. Going back at least 15, 18 years, right, we knew, well, I knew, that it was something that we needed to get involved in. But like with most people, I was also of that position that you don't want to get dirty. You don't want to get your hand dirty. And so you stay out of it. 5 years ago, it became clear that I just could not continue. So at the last election in 2019 or 2018 there, decided that it's time to jump into the ring. You can't make a difference from the outside, you have to go inside. I'm sure. So that's how I went in.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to come back to what your experience is with that, first trial. What did you find out? What are the things you thought you could have done better? But before we go there, so you have to tell us now, how long ago did you start this journey? Because a lot of people just think, that boy is just lucky. They just picked him,
No.
He probably doesn't even know what he's saying. How can he be drilling elderly people? Because he has a TV job. How long ago have you been doing this? What was your inspiration when you started?
Cumulatively, I've been doing this for close to 20 years of my life. The only job I've always done is media. That's the only thing I know, and I don't know any other thing else. Because I know deeply that God gives all of us a vision because of something. Mine is for Nigeria. And this is the only country I know. And that's why in recent days, when I get a lot of hate, when people abuse me for doing my job, I don't relent. People have often threatened my life. Say all sorts. We were on a call yesterday and somebody was saying, watch your back. And for me, the only thing I do when I hear that is I ask God, I say, God, you that you sent me on this mission, please, if it's going to take my life, the life you gave me, just let me know in advance. At least give me a notice. And he hasn't said otherwise. He said, go ahead, do it. And at whatever cost it is for our country. Because you see, year in, year out, our country can't remain the same.
It can't.
If we don't challenge the status quo. I keep talking about identity. We need to have an identity that understands our differences and also understands our peculiarities.
True.
The way democracy works in the UK, it doesn't work in Nigeria that way.
No.
Here, you can shout at the Prime Minister. In Nigeria, if you try that same thing, there are consequences.
You're right.
But how can we understand the peculiarities of our own democracy and go one step further to using it to press for demands? One incident that happened that showed all of us that our democracy is peculiar is the NSAS incident. A lot of people will have thought that the NSAS incident would have been a rallying point. But when you saw the after effects, then you now start to understand the cleavages in our democracy. And it's imperfect. And let's not deceive ourselves. And that's what the best we can do is to speak about it and look for solutions to places where there are loopholes that we can amplify and create solutions. What did I do that made me persona non grata? I asked a question. I asked a question from somebody that was speaking for the Tinubu camp. And I asked, how did this presidential candidate made his money? And God sees my heart. It was a question because what I normally do is I see the opinions of people before I ask questions. So I have frequently asked questions for anybody. And that's the way I ask the questions. I mean, Tonye is here, he's my very good friend, his family, I've known him for close to 10 years now. Anytime I get a chance to interview him, I still scrutinize it that way. So it's not a thing of I had, and for everybody that is saying, and I don't know if it's recording.
But we have a recording.
Okay, so and for we will post, and for everybody that is saying you are a PDP carrying member, they abuse me. Hope they see now. And Tonye is an APC. Talking here today. Hope they see it now, because you see, when you hear the polarity of our democracy, that the conversation is not elevated beyond this APC and PDP thing. I look and I say there's a big problem.
Yep.
And in all fairness, these so-called two political parties are parties that have their own fair share of failure.
Isn't it?
Ogato is here. He can't say otherwise that the APC has not failed. And the PDP has not failed. But the question is, what makes us Nigerians?
Yep.
What is our identity? What makes us tick? What makes us better? How can we reach across?
What binds us?
What binds us? And I think those are the better conversations
That we should have.
Than all the other conversations we have. And for me, I don't care which party it is.
Yep.
Be it APC or PDP. All I know is that, can you make our country better?
Yep.
And also tell us where you made your money from, so that we can know as an antecedent. And I'll tell you why. Recently, I jumped on Reno Spaces.
Yep. Last 2 weeks.
And Senator Bukola Saraki was there. Dr. Bukola Saraki. And I asked him a question on the election funding. And I also asked sort of like, where did you make your money from? Because you see, the problem in this country is that when people get into politics, they are condemned to go there to lose.
That's it.
The cost of politics is so high.
Yes, that's true.
And it comes in, you know what comes out of your pockets.
Yeah.
So there is no how you can tell me that somebody that bought, there's a serving governor in Nigeria today that borrowed 14 billion for his electoral campaign. They are owing banks. I know people that sold their homes in Lekki. So are you telling those people who go in there and don't want to recoup their cost? And you know why that happens? Because of the way we play our politics. It's always about this, that, and interest. So these are the conversations we must not shy away from.
Exactly.
And those are the conversations I try to amplify. And I thank Arise TV for giving me the platform.
Yep.
And in all fairness, you see, because since I've been away, a lot of people have been carrying rumor. He's left Arise. I have not left. My leadership in Arise is so passionate about free speech that I have been given ample room, and nobody says, don't ask this.
Yep. So put that on record.
So it's also an indication of the kind of peculiarities we have.
True that.
Let's not deceive ourselves. A lot of Nigeria's mentality of democracy is a jaundice mentality.
Jaundice
Yes, it's a jaundice.
Explain that.
I'll explain that. It's number one mentality of things can't work. That's why you see, no matter how much we are shouting PVC, you see people on Twitter, they say, well, get your PVC, now is the time for change. But look at it. What are the people who have come out to vote?
In the end.
Because a lot of people have resigned to fate. But you cannot sit down with that jaundice mentality that the country can't work and now you're going out to vote.
Yeah.
Secondly, a lot of people think all politicians are corrupt. But you see, we fail to realize that it is out of the corrupt politician you still have to find the one you can vote for. And really, if you think all politicians are corrupt, on the ballot there's nothing written as corrupt politician. You still have to make a choice and vote for somebody. And no matter the elections, somebody will win in the race. Even if you, out of rebellion, say you're not voting, like they did in Egypt. 1 million people picked up ballot paper and they wrote Mohamed Salah for presidential candidate. It's not the ballot, he couldn't have won.
The election wasn't about him.
It wasn't, but elections matter. So Nigerians should shift. Okay.
Look at the camera.
Great. So can they hear us now? bless God. So Nigeria should shift from that jaundice mentality. The elections don't matter because it's a life from the pit of hell. It does matter.
True that.
And thirdly, the capacity to have quality conversation.
Don't take it from me. Before that, it is.
You see, Nigerians increasingly must have conversations about their country without abusing each other. Because you see, in the abuse, it's a smoke screen for what is really happening.
It's a distraction.
It's a distraction
From the issues.
Let's disagree. We have been disagreeable and abusing each other. But let's have the mindset that we want to build this country. And in 2023, it's another chance that we have
to right our wrongs.
And fourthly, Nigerians should also know that because I am calling Ogatoyeko my brother, it's not an endorsement of Ogatoyeko.
Isn't it?
It's not.
Because that's the mentality a lot of Nigerians have.
Yes.
The greatest endorsement for you will come with the manifesto you have for the Rivers people.
Yes.
And the Rivers people have a question, to interrogate your manifesto.
That's it.
You should.
So I think what you're trying to say in street language is this: once you are with someone, or so politically you are with someone, it means you have endorsed them. That's not
That's
the meaning.
mindset.
That's the mindset.
So
you die with a candidate even when they put everybody in harm's way. That is not right. That's what you're trying to correct.
That's the mindset, you see.
So if the candidate does right by the people, he is our candidate.
The lack of
The moment it stops doing right by the people, then we step back.
The lack of political maturity is a big problem.
On the side of the people.
On the side of the people. The fact that we allow sentiment override the essence of the conversation.
And emotions.
You see, and with the case in Nigeria is you have to reiterate
things.
Oh, you need to go and vote. You need to go and get your PVC.
Yep.
You need to interrogate. You need to have an election debate.
Yes.
Because we are not wired that way, because we are not mature that way. But it also goes back to the peculiarities of our governance and democratic process.
All right. So would you like me to hold your thought there? I want to actually engage Mr. Tonye. I want to believe the first time you tried your hands at the River State election was the last electoral cycle, 2018-2019. Now, being a first-timer who is running for governorship, there was no guarantee that you are going to snitch the tickets and that you're going to be the flag bearer for the APC in Rivers. So that is one thing to celebrate, to be very honest. It's a win because you weren't the only one who asked for that ticket. So what did you do right? It means you already have that aspect of the game. You have it grounded, and right now you remain the current flag bearer until a convention is held, I believe. Even if it's not officially documented in the party constitution, but at least you are the last flag bearer, and the onus is still on the party to respect that position, even as we look ahead of another convention. So, how did you handle that process, being a first timer?
Okay. So that's a very good question, and thank you very much. And I will use it to answer some of what Rufai was putting out there. And the first aspect of anything is that you have elections. The only way you can make any kind of change in Nigeria is through the political arena. If you don't have people vying for office, then no matter what Mohammed Salah and Egypt and all of that, they're not on the ballot.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
You can be popular for all you can.
Doesn't make sense. So the first thing that this conversation should bring out to Nigerians is that don't wait until it is time to vote before you start identifying the kinds of people that you want to elect. If you wait for that time, then you will be voting for a dog, a cat, a horse, whoever the party brings forward. It's no longer in your hands. So the next question is, how do you then ensure that you Anybody who wants to run for office has the ability to run for office. Remember that there are stakeholders. Every community has stakeholders.
Yeah.
Every party has stakeholders. It is then therefore important that if you are going to run for office, the first thing is that you have to identify a party that you will belong to. You cannot run for office from outside of a party.
An independent candidature
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work for now in Nigeria. You have to stand. You have to stand somewhere.
It doesn't work. You must stand somewhere. So you must have a party that you will identify with. Fair enough. So let's assume that you identify that you're either going for APC or PDP. Now, within APC or PDP as stakeholders, it is important for you to know that stakeholders are the ones that are delegates at the primary. And it's those delegates at the primary that will bring you out, which means that there must be something that they see about you that moves forward. 2018 was peculiar. That's into the 2019 election. If you remember right, you had come from a 2015 where Nigerians were clamoring for change. Okay? They had seen that there was so much corruption, so much failure, that politics as usual was not the way to go. Which meant that they were now looking for a different type of politician.
Isn't it?
Okay? And so in certain states, you start seeing that what people were looking for is that they don't want the usual suspects. Can we bring new people out? And that was a card that worked for me. Because here was something that Rivers State had been going through a series of a type of politics that was known for violence, was known for hijack, was known for all sorts of
In fact, the mention of the word rivers,
it was just known for
it shakes you.
It was just known for the totally negative thing. And so the option for us was, can you bring somebody who represents the direct opposite of this? And let us now put those two as candidates. This is one that represents everything that you've always known to be Rivers State, and this is another one that represents everything you've not known to be Rivers State. Excuse me. And what can we do about it? So that was one. Then the second onus was then on me to convince the stakeholders that taking a risk on me was not a problem, because it's about power. Our elections in Nigeria is majority cross the line, you get everything. You fail, you get nothing. And so understand that the way the democracy works is that when you enter, anybody who is going to back you must believe that you have the ability to win. Because if you don't win, all of them
efforts
are out. And so that's why people do everything to ensure that they win. But you have to be able to convince them that it is not a risk they are taking by going for what looks different.
Yeah.
Because the apathy that most people have about politics is that my vote does not count. They write the result. They will do whatever they like. So why am I bothering? So you have 80%, 90% of Nigerians just sitting at home and not coming out. Now, that's 80% is your target. That's your audience. How can you convince them that you are different? Yes, you may be in a party that looks like the party of old, but you as a candidate is coming with something that is totally different and putting it on the table. And what did I find out? Now, I'm jumping to a question you haven't asked, but you asked me outside. So what did you find out? The first thing that I discovered was that most people, the populace, right, did not believe that the government cared for them at all. There was no connection between what politicians were saying, what the government is saying, and what the people believe that they will get. So the key is that you must be able to convince them that you are listening. People are not listening. So what do you get when you don't listen? When people feel that you're not listening to them, when people feel that you don't care for them, what do you think they're going to do? One, they would either stay away, or two, they'll just collect your money and just vote and move away. They don't care. So we have to bridge that gap, and we must continue bridging it. So for me, it's very simple. Stay there, continue there, because you will then encourage
More
people
to start to
say,
find-
if you are there and you can survive, then let's also come in and join. Because most people just think that there's no point, and there is a big point.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Tonye. Back to Rufai now. As a journalist, you are married to the people. You are married to the screen, and it's very difficult to be partisan, isn't it? At best, you only have your voter's card, isn't it? Because right now, even if you want to drive any change, it would impede in the message that you deliver. No, there's no soap you can use to bath. That people will believe, okay, if you're a card-carrying member of a party, they believe whatever you say, and because we have the type of people that we have, which we cannot change overnight.
Yeah.
So, but from your own individual point of view, what do you think that we need to do now with strengthening our democracy? You know, because we have had a lot of coup around us, you know, in recent times, and Nigeria is not immune. I told people Nigeria is not immune to it. Somehow we may think we have got a hold of our military, and you know they are well fed, they are well contained, but you really cannot tell. So, and we don't want to lose this democracy. But what can we do to actually make it serve the people? I'm coming back to Mr. Tonye because he's in the fire, being non-partisan on TV, on radio. What do we need to do now? What do we need to focus on?
At first, I think the people need to believe in Nigeria again.
Number one.
Too many people and too many Nigerians don't believe in Nigeria, and they have
Look at that.
And I will not be here. I will not be here to say
You don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there.